Chase Mays is signing with Davis and Elkins to play basketball for the Senators. Chase has been a key part of a Belpre Golden Eagles team who finished with a winning record in the TVC Hawking and will begin their playoff run with a sectional final matchup against Rock Hill tonight. Going into that game, he has a lot of confidence in his teammates and his coaches. When it comes to Davis and Elkins, Chase believes he will face challenges with the size of the players in Division II, and he knows they will be more skilled and developed as well. He gives his reasons on why he made the decision to play for the Senators.
I chose Davis and Elkins because the coaches were really inviting. I got invited to come out for a workout, and it was really like a family atmosphere up there, and I really think it's going to be something special up there.